Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. So today we are going to be talking about my March TBR. I have quite a few books on the TBR and I am not great at describing books that I haven't read. I'm not great at describing books I have read, let's be real, but I'm really not good at describing books I haven't read. So I'm going to wing it, as I do, and we'll just see how this thing goes. So, first book on the TBR is Skyward by Brandon Sanderson. I have been wanting to pick up this book for a couple of months now, ever since I heard about it. This is basically, it's the story about Spencer, who joins this pilot academy, and she's training to be a pilot, and she has to overcome her father's legacy, where he used to be a pilot as well, and I guess he abandoned his post, and so now she is trying to get a name for herself while overcoming that stigma that her father was a coward. So I think that this first book follows her basically through pilot school, I think. So yeah, I've heard that this is a really good first book to get into with Brandon Sanderson, so that's part of the reason why I chose it. I'm also interested in it because it takes place in space and it's kind of sci-fi, but not like, you know, typical sci-fi, if you will. So I've heard that people get kind of like Star Wars vibes out of this, and you know, let's be honest, if someone says Star Wars, I'm like, I'm in. So this is one of the books that I'm going to check out. The next book that I hope to read in March is Keeper of the Lost City's Exile. This is the second book in the series where we continue to follow Sophie Foster in her adventure and her journey in finding out who she is and why she is who she is and how come she has all the abilities that she has. There is a place called Exile, so I'm wondering if they go there. I don't know. This is a buddy read that I am doing with my niece and nephew, and we finished the first book in February, so I'm looking forward to starting this one up with them, and it's longer than the first one, so hopefully we will be able to get through this one in March. Another book I hope to pick up in March is Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J. Maas. I have not read any of her books, but I do own one of them. So there you go. And I didn't know which one to read first, and my sister-in-law loves this series, so she encouraged me to pick it up. It's basically a Beauty and the Beast retelling. We follow the main character, Fairy, who basically kills somebody, and then she gets kidnapped and she gets held captive by a fairy. I don't know. I will learn more about it as I read it, but that's basically what it is. It's a Beauty and the Beast retelling, and I've heard that it's really good. I've heard that you either like this book or you really don't. I have it on hold at my library right now, so I don't have a copy of it. If it doesn't become available in March, then I plan to pick up Throne of Glass because I own it. I remember reading the synopsis in Barnes & Noble, and I said, ooh, I want to buy that. And then I believe one of the next books was coming out. I have had this for about a year. One of the other books was coming out, and somebody at Barnes & Noble was like, oh my gosh, you're gonna love it and you're gonna cry. And I was like, oh, okay. So this one sounds cool too. There's a review on here that says fans of Game of Thrones and Hunger Games will love this. I've never seen Game of Thrones. Don't come for me. But I love Hunger Games, so that will be fun. And I know that this is about assassins, and the cover is cool, so either way, I'm going to read a Sarah J. Maas book this month. It'll either be this one or it'll be Court of Thorns and Roses. we'll see. The next book that I hope to pick up this month is Scythe by Neil Shusterman. I have heard a lot about this series and this book. It's basically a dystopian where humanity has cured all ailments and basically people don't die. They're immortal. And so with that comes population issues, and so how they've come up with managing the population is scythes. How they select who gets chosen to join the Scythedom, I don't know. But we do follow two people who are chosen to join. Doesn't seem like either of them really want to. And you follow their journey on, I guess, how they learn. They become apprentices. Is there a school? I'm not sure. But it sounds really interesting. I mean, when I hear people describe it and talk about it, people rave about it. So I want to check it out and see where I land on the spectrum of fandom or not. The next book I hope to pick up this month is Ember in the Ashes by Saba Tehar. I will figure that out. This is about her. Laya's brother gets arrested for treason, and she is forced into a decision on joining the rebels and becoming a spy for them and joining the Empire's military academy. There she meets Elias, and he is not so happy about being there either. And then we just follow their journey and what happens from there. It sounds like this, I mean, military school, teenagers. It sounds right up my alley. I think there's a theme this month. People in school learning to be assassins or scythes or pilots. Apparently I really like the school setting. Which brings me to a great segue. Another book I hope to pick up is Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban, the illustrated edition. Look at how beautiful this cover is. I am so excited. I love that these books are in existence. It's a big boy. It's very heavy. I'm like having to like prop it up. But I decided that when I got the illustrated editions last year that I wanted to do a whole reread of Harry Potter. I haven't done one, I think, since the first time I read it. Maybe I might have read it once before. Okay, anyways, doesn't matter. I haven't reread it in a really long time, so I just have been so looking forward to rereading this series this year, and March just seems like the perfect month to jump into the third book of Harry Potter. So I'm going to do that this month. I'm really excited. Another book I hope to pick up this month is Heart of Flames by Nikki Palparetto. This is the sequel to Crown of Feathers. I just finished Crown of Feathers in February and I really enjoyed it. I'm not like so anticipating to find out what happens next that I want to go buy the book. So I put it on hold at the library and hopefully it will become available in March. So I am putting it on my TBR, but if it doesn't become available, I think that I have filled my TBR with plenty of other reading that I will be okay. But I'm hoping that it'll become available. The first book ended on a bit of a cliffhanger where, you know, it's not so much where I'm anxious about what's happening in the next book, but I'm very curious to see how the story unfolds. But we're still following our main character Veronica and Tristan and their journey into becoming full-fledged Phoenix Writers. And the first book was just really fun to read, and I'm looking forward to the next book. It came out in February, so hopefully my library will come through and the copy will become available. And finally, the last book on my TBR. Now this is basically a backup plan just in case Court of Thorns and Roses doesn't work out and I'm not into reading Thornglass. Let's just remember that. A Curse So Dark and Lonely. this is another Beauty and the Beast retelling. We follow our main character, Harper. Basically, she lives in our day and age and our world. She lives in DC, and then she somehow finds herself in this fantasy world, kind of like the movie Enchanted, where Giselle like went through a, you know, the manhole in the ground and came out in Times Square. So I don't know, I'm kind of imagining that somehow Harper finds herself in this fairy tale land, and she gets through it by making real world pop references, pop culture references and things like that. And people have really enjoyed this book. There's been some good reviews, some not so great reviews as well, but this is my backup plan if some of the other ones don't pan out, because I don't know if I want to read 2 Beauty and the Beast retellings in 1 month. So just in case. So those are my reading plans so far for March. As you know, I'm a big mood reader, so we'll see if the TBR actually stands. Or, you know, at the end of the month, I'm telling you a different bunch of books that I read. So we'll see what happens. Let me know down in the comments below what books you plan on reading this month, as I would love to hear them. And I will see you guys in the next video. Bye!